What's good? What's good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of The Urban Platform Speaks. Make sure to like, subscribe to the channel as you tune in and check out the content. And with that being said, man, I wanna comment on some recent statements made by Lin Dunn, right? And these comments, most people think that these comments were directed towards Caitlin Clark, which I agree, right? And the reason why I agree is because of the late treatment lately of Caitlin Clark by her team, by the organization, right? And so that's why I feel like these comments was directed at her. And then let me say, I said in previous videos that Caitlin Clark is a great player, and Caitlin Clark, she do have some flaws in her game, but I think, in my opinion, like the flaws in her game come nowhere near matching the the advantages and the plus to the game, like what she bring to the table. So she they way like the advantages of having Caitlin Clark on your team way outweigh the disadvantages, right? And so that's why I couldn't understand why this team you draft Caitlin Clark, number one, and then on top of that, you don't invest anything into to making her a better player. You more so try to mold her into what you want to be instead of trying to at least meet her halfway, right? So that's one thing I couldn't understand about the organization, because other organizations that have uh great basketball players, that's what they do, especially rookies. Rookies come to the professional level with all sorts of bad habits, or sometimes they're not good at defense, or their shot selection, because they're used to having the green light in college. Their shot selection is not always the best, right? But then you kind of you mold them and you wean them, and but you still live with their mistakes because you know the talent and the potential that they have. This is not what the Indiana Fever team organization has done with Caitlin Clark, right? And I'm not even a Caitlin Clark fan. I'm just a sports fan, and I just recognize that, like with the young the young lady Olivia Miles, right? She's not perfect. I watched her play the Valkyries, and her defense, in my opinion, her defense could have been a lot better. But the coach Reeves, I forgot her first name. Coach Reeves, just they allow her to, to take her lumps, live with the mistakes, and they're winning more so than they are losing. So I like that approach to developing your superstar players, right? But Indiana is not doing it like that. And so when I see this lady Lin Dunn make these statements, I can't help but think that these statements are directed at Caitlin Clark. And so listen to what Lin Dunn says about trying to weed out bad behavior on the team, and referring to people with bad behavior as we weed.
And when I go into an environment, when I go to evaluate a player or coach or whatever, I want to see, hear, and feel that culture. And so I think about sometimes culture is kind of like you have to plant it, you have to grow it, and you have to maintain it. And it's a little bit like a garden. Sometimes you have to weed it. You may have some problems with some weeds taking over your culture, and
All right, so that right there, like sometimes you have problems, and sometimes you have to weed. And coming off of like what I recently saw with Caitlin Clark having a couple of disagreements, one first with the assistant coach, and then she had some words with her head coach. That just makes me makes me think, and a lot of other fans think, that they're referring to Caitlin Clark, right? And so as a basketball fan and as a sports fan, I'm thinking, like, why not invest in your star basketball player and give her the keys, like I said, like other teams are doing. They're doing it for Paige Beckers, Olivia Miles, but for some reason the Fever, and if Caitlin Clark is somebody who's a malcontent and has a bad attitude, then you know maybe why not just come out and say it instead of beating around the bush, right? Because this leads fans, people guessing and wondering why, like what's going on. So I don't know. In my opinion, I just think it's not a good look for for a coaching staff to be to doing this when they could take a different route, right? So now let me play. This is a coach from UCLA, right? And she has, in my opinion, a better approach for how you would manage somebody who's a superstar like Caitlin Clark.
Yeah, in the league before at all. And we now, so was that an assist? Why
still take place? But I want to go back real quickly to what you said, Sarah. I think that if you're going to invest, if you're going to invest one way, you have to have the whole organization level up. Publicists, but I would also say marketing. I would also say in-game experience. I would, all of those things have to come together. Otherwise, it's really going to be a poor stewardship of that. And I think we're seeing that more and more, which I think is very important. And your stat about, the isolations. I mean, that's what you do. You find your right matchup. You see it in, in almost every sport. And so, there's schemes to respond to that. That is not her strong suit. It never has been. This is not a new thing, right? This is not like all of a sudden we're going to ask her to get better at her defense. But she does so many other things at such an elite level. Your scheme.
All right. So she's referring to Caitlin Clark, like she said. And this is the coach, the UCLA coach, right? She's saying that Caitlin Clark just does so many other things at an elite level. So that her good way is just so much, just way outweigh the poor stuff, right? And if you're going to invest in somebody like Caitlin Clark, then you got to invest all the way. You just can't say, well, all right, she's not good at defense. Most guards at the professional level, because, like Allen Iverson wasn't a great defender, right? He played defense and he got steals and stuff like that. But on-ball defender, like a bigger basketball player would take him down and post him up. Same thing with Steph Curry, right? So it's up to the coach to find ways to combat that, because you want to be able to keep Allen Iverson in the game. You want to be able to keep Steph Curry in the game. You don't let the other team dictate, like, we're going to post Allen Iverson up, so you got to take him out the game. The player and the team, Allen Iverson brought so much other stuff to the table that, you're going to live with the fact that, like, you can post up Allen Iverson or you can post up Steph Curry, but they just so impactful that whereas though you might be trying to hunt them out on one end of the court, then Allen Iverson or Steph Curry, they're going to hunt, they're going to hunt you down at the other end of the court, and they're going to win that battle. Same thing with Brunson, right? Who was the team last series they played? I forgot who Brunson them played in the last series, but Brunson, Cleveland said they were hunting, well, even before they got to Cleveland, before they got to Cleveland, they said they were hunting Brunson down, right? But the Knicks didn't take Brunson out of the game. You coaches find ways to combat that. You find ways to get Brunson off of the guys, who he can't really match up with and play with. And that's the main reason why Cleveland they didn't win a game against New York. Brunson hunted down James Harden. James Harden could not stay in front of Brunson. And Brunson, in the fourth quarter of the game that the Cleveland Cavaliers was leading by like 19, 20 points or something like that, or maybe even more, Brunson started hunting James Harden. Now it's up to James Harden and that coaching staff to find a remedy to that and find it in a hurry. They gave up a 20-point lead because James Harden can't play. He couldn't play one-on-one with Brunson, right? But you don't blame that just on James Harden. You blame that on you brought James Harden there knowing what his weaknesses were, knowing what his strengths were, and so you try to coach around that. You find solutions to that, and that's just not what this Indiana Fever team is doing for Caitlin Clark. They knew what she was when they drafted her. Plenty of film. Everybody talk and everybody see. But this organization, to me, man, I don't know. I like the Minnesota Lynx because I like what they're doing with their young rookie, their stars. I like the Dallas Wings. I like what they're doing with their young players. I like the Valkyries. But this Indiana Fever team, man, I just don't get how they're. And no disrespect to this lady Dunn, right? Because she knows a lot about basketball, but I just don't understand her basketball philosophy when it comes to investing in franchise type basketball players. Like, if you're going to bring Caitlin Clark onto your team, then why not invest in her and put everything around her to make her successful, minimize her weaknesses by, you know, coaching, like having your coach Stephanie White find ways to, you know, to not hide her, but minimize her weakness, right? And cater and focus on her strengths. So that's my take on it. Make sure to like and subscribe. Don't forget to leave a comment. And with that being said, man, I'm gonna check y'all out in the next video. Peace.